Alright, hello and welcome back to the Relikiss podcast. This time we have Cross here to offer his opinions on things.
Relikiss Crosscast. I'm in the title now.
You can't just
Yay!
steal my title and make it yours.
I don't know. Buttkiss said yay, so I at least got the kiss part vote.
Well, I mean, you gotta admit, I don't have very high standards for my yays.
I'm still taking it.
Alright, well, I mean,
You have cancer! Yay!
I mean,
he's
that
barely
would be
he's barely
inappropriate.
in the title anyway. What does he do?
Well, it's like half
So
of it.
far, agree with you.
So today we're going to be talking about early access and how we feel about that as both an idea and how we feel about it in the sense of how it's been actually going.
Yes, as an ITN, what it actually is. Sadly,
Yes.
very different things.
So let's start with the idea because I feel like that's the more positive thing, and that's a much better place to start.
Mm.
Sounds fair.
So the idea of early access, for anyone who doesn't know, Steam's early access is a place where you can essentially choose to pay for a game and get to play the game, but it's not finished yet. So you're playing. We use Starbound as an example. You're playing in Starbound one world while they develop the whole interstellar space traveling thing, but it's still a complete game in that sense. So what the waiting queue podcast, yeah. So what early access was meant to be was a kind of a way of letting you play an unfinished game, but still have a semi-complete experience while funding their finished product.
Yep, that's the idea.
Um,
And it does work on
Sometimes.
some games,
Yeah,
if they
Don't
do it
Starve
right.
for existence. Yep, Don't Starve, for example, is a great early access game.
Mm.
It gave you pretty much a full game experience all the way through early access, and then once it came out of early access, it's a full fledged game. It has a full fledged story and stuff. It's
Mhm.
great, but other games have not done that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like in the idea, it's like games that aren't finished yet. In some cases, the yet is not actually put in there in the actual implementation because it never gets finished. Sometimes it's so incredibly unfinished that it's not even really a playable game, and yet you're still already paid money for it. And there's no like, there's also games. Can I start complaining? Am I too early?
I mean, go ahead.
No, because like there's certain games that like it seems like it's actually beneficial for them to never release the freaking game so that they can kind of dodge certain criticisms and just like work on like random things that get them even more money. Like you got early access games and then they'll have you like pay for like other auxiliary things before the game is even out. Like I that's I don't know. I just miss the days like I obviously miss the days where people would try to release games without tons of bugs, and I definitely miss the days where games were released that were like full and complete. And it's just I don't I like obviously there are success stories, but there's also just a lot of room for abuse and
Yeah.
misdirection and complete BS. Like
I mean, we could take a look at what was it, infection stories or whatever. War like whatever that zombie game was called that Cube tried to make us play.
mm,
It's
uh,
early access. It was titled was changed while it
War
was in
Z.
early access. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think. Its title was then changed to Infection Stories. Um, while it was still in early access because it was trying to dodge a lot of the criticisms that it had gained during early access.
Yeah, because they flat out lied, and they had a very aggressive, ridiculous payment structure. Like I think Companion paid like $70 for that game or something ridiculous.
Yeah, and they had a whole bunch of microtransactions and things. And that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing you'll see with early access games. It's like not only are you paying, to buy the game, but there's often a lot of early access games nowadays that are asking for microtransactions
Mm-hmm.
or are releasing DLC. And you can't
Yeah,
release DLC for a game that isn't out.
yeah.
That doesn't make sense. So it's a big mess, and one of the biggest messes other than infestation stories, which is a whole thing on itself, would be towns.
Mm-hmm.
Towns never got finished.
Yeah.
They just ended up tossing it out of early access and saying, "Hey, we're not finishing this."
Mm. Now, what about was Cube World an early access game, or did that actually just come out?
I think it started as an early access game.
Okay, because I know eventually the developer just disappeared and was not ever heard from again.
Yeah.
So
But I think that but Cube World is kind of a finished title. Like that's a finished for the most part game.
it's true, but apparently there were a lot of promises that were not kept.
Yeah.
So anyone who bought the game under the premise that those would be implemented is just out of luck.
And that's another thing too that I kind of have to say with early access is that while like in theory it's a great idea. It helps people make their games and whatever. But the theory for the consumer part of it is that the consumer will do their own research, and the consumer's not going to do their own research,
Mm-hmm.
and Valve needs to know that. Like,
Yeah, and like we live in a little bit of a bubble with our little group because I think we take video games more seriously than like a lot of people. And but like even the people who like listen to podcasts like this, they probably take video games a little bit more seriously. They're just people looking at a list and like buying things. And no, like the vast majority of people aren't going to research things. They like look at the description. Maybe they'll look up a review, but they look at the description and they trust that what's there is going to be in the game and they get the game.
yeah, and Valve as a company should actually be forced to moderate that because if you're working at a GameStop, the cover can't just blatantly lie,
Mm-hmm.
and you as an employee can't just blatantly lie. But Valve lets these minor storefronts blatantly lie at times.
Yeah, and they've taken a little step with the refund thing because before, if you bought a game like Too Bad, you could not refund the damn thing. But
Yeah,
I don't know what the process is, but I'd say it's probably a step in the right direction.
yeah, I'd agree.
And-
But I want to touch on like the consumer thing real fast. Like so for what it should be, the reality of it is that if you're buying an early access game, you should be buying it not based solely on what they're promising, but based on if you can have fun with that game as it is in that state right now.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because otherwise, you shouldn't be paying your money for it. There are
All right.
tons of finished games out there. And yeah, while it's cool to help out, you can't trust early access. You can't trust Kickstarters either. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, and it's good. It's a little like the two examples, like what is it, Starbound and Don't Starve. They both had pretty trusted developers. Like people had faith in them.
Yeah.
And I understand supporting a company that you have faith with, but then there's also the other thing. This is the thing that affects me. Even with like Rebuild, that was an early access game. If you play a lower version of a game like an alpha or a beta, if you play it too much, when the main game comes out, you might just be done with it, and you're not going to get the rich experience you would have gotten if you had just played the complete game. And I mean, that's not a problem that Valve needs to do anything. That's just a personal choice that like gamers, I think, need to be cognizant of. That
Yeah.
you could kind of ruin a good game for yourself, which is really, again, what I did with Don't Starve. I kind of ruined it for myself by playing the beta too much.
Yeah, you did play that a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to day 76 because I found out, like, I mean, the armor, they made it so that, like, you couldn't die if you were wearing the armor. Like, you took 0 damage from attacks.
Yeah.
So you could just keep on making it to be invincible, and food didn't spoil back then. Like, I just had a base set up and was invincible. And then I didn't want to play the game, like, ever again after that until Don't Starve Together.
Yeah, so I really think that early access, and you're right when saying that a lot of people don't really care as much about games as we do, or even about like their money as we do. But
Mm-hmm.
there should be some kind of known tagline now that you don't spend your money on something that you want to have happen. You spend your money on something that's there. Because like I
Mhm.
don't go to the store and say, "Oh, you're out of Trident chewing gum. All right, well here's my $5. I'm gonna come pick up my gum whenever you get it next shipment." Like, you don't do
Well,
that.
it's almost worse than that because you know that Trident chewing gum exists. This would be like, we're going to make this new gum flavor and we'll get it to you sometime, maybe. For now, you can try this flavorless gum. This will give you an idea of the texture. And you please do buy it because otherwise we might not come out with the gum. Like, we kind of demand your support or this gum won't exist. Like,
Yeah.
that's not how anything works except for video games.
And it boggles my mind, and I understand like the whole. I like Kickstarter a little bit more than early access. I'm gonna say
Mm.
that because Kickstarter is more of a we can only make this game exist if you give us your money, but we're not trying to pressure you and force you. Early
Mm.
access kind of feels like they're pressuring you and forcing you because you're already invested at that point once you buy it. Like you're already
Yeah,
invested, and then you got to just keep giving them the money.
yeah. There's some weird situations where there's a Kickstarter and then the Kickstarter goes into early access and then it doesn't come out. But like, I don't know. It's just. I just feel like game development's going in a direct, and I guess this is all just indie games. Like the regular game industry's not really affected. They're affected by other crap, like DLC and stuff. But
And being
like
shit.
I, yeah, I'm like so into indie games. Like this is just, I don't know. I've just become more and more wary, and there really is just more and more crap just shoveled in my face, and I
Yeah,
don't want to waste my time on it.
and that's a huge problem because it's devaluing the industry. It's devaluing like it's gonna take us back to the time whenever playing being a gamer was a bad thing. Because like now it just looks like there's a bunch of crooks sitting around trying to you know pass off their gear.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's hard to entirely blame video game companies for this because the thing is, they're responding to what people are buying.
Yeah.
It's really like there's got to be some consumer responsibility. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen because again, like we can talk to people here, they can maybe change their behavior, but we're not the mass majority of people that are buying these things.
Yeah.
And realistically, this is all stuff people have heard at some point, in some
Mm.
way, at one point or another, so
More than
Oh
likely.
we're
yeah.
not saying anything new.
Well, yeah, to like the group that's already savvy about it, yeah. But like I talk to other friends that are like kind of into video games but don't like follow industry stuff, and they don't know what I'm talking about basically, or they're just like, ah, it's fine, whatever. I'll just play the thing. I don't really care. I remember I talked to some people about like the Double Fine thing, about how they started a Kickstarter, they got more money than anyone ever, and then they ran out of money. And I'm like, I don't see how this is okay. They're like, well, it came out, and to be fair, but like they didn't have a problem with the fact that they ran out of money, and it was delayed for like an extra 2 years, and they were extremely irresponsible with what they were doing.
Yeah.
Like I
Like
don't.
I think that a lot of consumers are at that level. They're not.
Yeah,
They're like it came out like Towns. It came out, but
yeah,
Towns was what a tenth of what it was supposed to be.
yeah,
Um, War Z was a media clusterfuck, blatantly lied,
yeah. That's probably the worst example.
and people are still playing infestation stories.
Mm.
Like we may not be saying anything new, but maybe we're helping nail that in a little bit more to people, and that's something that I'd be happy to do. Like,
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because like I understand, like you gotta buy what you want, fine, but there's also like money's kind of like voting. Like you vote with your money. If you want to support like good indie developers, you have to like buy their games. But if you keep on just buying crap, those crap companies will also survive.
yeah,
And like, oh, like you want cream to rise to the top. At the very least, like you have to at least like promote good things and actively speak out about the bad things. That's the only way things change.
yeah. And we're not exactly in a position where we can like make and break games at all. But even if we're influencing like 5 people on to stay away from infestation stories and use your money elsewhere,
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah, definitely.
Because you're right. These indie companies are trying to make a living, and the only way they can is if they have money, and the money comes from consumers. So the only way that they're going to continue making games if they continue to get the money.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like it's kind of like Greenlight. You're kind of just sitting there saying yes or no to
Hmm.
games.
Yeah.
So be a little bit smarter, please. You're hurting the industry, guys. Come on.
Well, I definitely vented my rage, but I just it just like that's the problem with early access. It's like even when you guys do it right, it still usually ruins the game if I play your game in early access.
Yeah. So
Like
but that one's on you.
that is on me. I'm just saying it's just like that's why the entire concept to me like is just It bothers me.
I like the concept from the standpoint of, let's say they had $15,000 and they thought that
Mhm.
was enough for their game, but they needed more. And so they say, well, you can play our game, you can buy our game, it's playable in the state it's in, but we want to add to it, and that's where they, that's how they do it. That's their method of it. I
It
would
still
be,
just seems like you're paying them to beta test their game.
in
Like
a way. I
it
mean,
used to be like they would hire beta testers, they would pay them money to go through. And I have to say this way is definitely more effective. Like you're probably going to catch all of the bugs if you do it this way.
yeah.
But I don't know. I'm an old man that pines for the way it used to be where games
But
didn't have bugs.
unfortunately, the way, like the other side of the coin on that is the way it used to be. There were no indie companies really.
That's true.
Um, and it'd be more of a case where oh god, who's the maker of Starbound?
Like cuddle chucklefish.
Chucklefish, yes.
Something fish. Yes.
They're an actual big indie company because they started out as an indie publisher and they published
Mm.
indie like other indie games. So now they're making their own indie game and they've gotten over $2 million to work
Mm.
on Starbound with, and so like they'd be like one of the only indie companies that would exist maybe if we were back in the old ways. But
Well, no, there's also Team Mead. There's
yeah,
things like Gregory Weir. There's a whole bunch of different Flash developers. What is it? Braid also. Like the beginning. Like when I say back in the day when I was talking about that's true. There wasn't any indie developers, but there were indie developers before early access.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, early access is only what last 2 years, 3 years.
But it's definitely helped, make the market bigger. Not necessarily
Yes.
better, but bigger.
That's the thing. I feel like before there was kind of a cutthroat thing where a lot of the crap just exploded before it started. I mean, I'm sure there is probably a bunch of good games that have come out. I can't think, like, it's hard for me to think of any. There are probably a bunch of good games that have come out that wouldn't exist if early access didn't exist, but I can't think of that many, to be honest. I think Rebuild 3 would have still been around.
Yeah, I
It,
think I think Don't Starve could have made it too, because they would just use
yeah.
Kickstarter.
Mhm.
I mean, in FTL, it never came through early access. That was a
That's
Kickstarter
true.
only.
Yeah, there's like most of my favorite indie games, there was no early access period, or I still think it would have existed without one.
Yeah, because they could have gone through with the Kickstarter, and
Hmm.
and there's a and that's I think that's a thing. Is Valve
Hmm.
needs to either buckle down a bit more on early access, or maybe early access just not exist, and we should just go Kickstarter only.
Yeah, I mean, there's issues with Kickstarter too, to be fair,
Yeah, but
but
I don't feel like they're as big as early access because this is Kickstarter kind of forces you to pay for something without having anything given to you,
mhm.
and I feel like that makes the consumer a little bit more, think a little bit longer before they do it.
Yeah.
But since we're on, Valve bashing spree, last week Buttkiss and I talked for pretty long about Greenlight.
Mm.
So
True.
how do you think of Greenlight as an idea?
Well, personally. Oh, him.
Shut
Go.
up,
Well,
Buttkiss.
I just I don't know. I made a comment about a lot of problems with early access being similar to ones with Greenlight, and I think you made a response comment basically. Like I guess when I was saying early access, I was basically including like just games that aren't done
Yeah.
being on Greenlight, which is just that's the whole problem I have with early access is the games that aren't done. I don't really have as much of a problem with Greenlight though. I just like I don't even usually know when a game that I'm looking at has been on Greenlight necessarily. All the games that I voted for Greenlight have come out and have been either relatively successful or at the very least were completed.
Yeah.
So I mean I don't know. I think the process for getting indie games on Steam before was a lot more ridiculous than it is now. Like I don't even know how you basically had to like sacrifice a goat to Gabe Newell and hope that he added you to the damn thing. But things like a scapegoat got on there finally, and I was pushing that scapegoat thing. I know it had nothing to do with me, but I was really happy when that got on
Yeah.
Greenlight. There's a game called Author that I was looking at. I voted for that. Well, Super Hot hasn't come out actually. I don't know
Well,
if I
can you really say that Scapegoat had nothing to do with you? Because wasn't a Scapegoat not out on Steam when you first started playing it?
That's true, but I doubt I like turned the tide. It was pretty cool that the developer made some comments on my video, but
Yeah, but I mean, like, that's
um,
300 people's eyes that you're at least getting on the.
it's true. A Scapegoat 2 though was actually sponsored by Double Fine, so they got some type of crazy boost from that.
Mm.
Like the guy from Double Fine paid for it, so that didn't even have to go through Greenlight. That was just put on Steam.
Well, it's not the thing too. I noticed there's a lot of confusion with Greenlight, both
Mhm.
from us as well as from developers. But like, the idea behind Greenlight, what we were told was that once you got one game through, you would be able to have any of your games through. But it seems like that's not
Really?
actually true.
I never heard that before.
That's what I heard. But
Me neither.
maybe I heard wrong. But I mean, like,
Where did you hear this?
uh, I don't remember. But
Oh,
like
okay, that's
Greenlight,
fair.
you paid $100. Once you got one title through, you were
Mhm.
supposed to then be like, okay, well now you're a verified publisher on Steam. You can now
Mhm.
just go. But
Interesting.
apparently that's not the case, or it is and no one knows, or something. Because I've seen it. I've seen cases of it happen both ways.
Mhm.
Fruit Bat Factory, for instance, had 3 of its games greenlit. Like they
Mhm.
put them, after War of the Human Tanks was greenlit, they then put Alter, um, 99 Spirits, and 100% Orange Juice to greenlight.
Oh wait, the Orange Juice is the same company as the War of the Human Tanks.
Um, no, Orange Juice
Oh,
and War of the Human Tanks are a different company, but they were
oh,
localized by Fruit Bat Factory.
gotcha. Okay.
Ah,
I think now that Fruit Bat Factory has like 4 games out on Steam, I think now they're verified and can just put games out, but I'm not even sure. Like, Steam doesn't tell us anything as consumers, and I don't think they really tell much to developers either.
Well, that's the like if they don't tell consumers, whatever. But if they don't tell developers, it's a little bit odd.
Yeah, because I've
But
I've just been seeing that like that trend where they're sometimes they'll do that, and other times you'll just get like what was that one history? No, there was one company that it got something through on Greenlight, and then it just blew up the market with like a back burning of games.
hmm,
I can't remember what name. I think Total Biscuit like lambasted them though. So Strategy
yeah,
First. I think it was Strategy First,
okay.
and they got through Greenlight, and then they just unloaded their entire uh, licensed product onto Steam. They're just like, "Yep, here you go,
Huh.
everything we have," and that may be why we now see like that Steam's kind of like, no, you kind of still have to go through Greenlight at least a few more times.
Yeah, because I had never heard that, and I was about to say like that when it couldn't that happen very easily
Oh,
like
it did. It was terrible.
you know
It was Strategy First and like 3 other companies that were just dumping their backlog onto
mm,
Steam.
you know
And it was a horrible time where you couldn't find anything.
yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know. I'm glad I got your input on those. Buttkiss
Hmm.
is as talkative as ever, as we clearly see.
Well, I don't know if we really gave
yay.
him. I mean, I didn't give him a chance to talk. I'm still not.
Buttkiss, what are your thoughts on early
Sure you are.
access?
What?
What are your thoughts on early access?
No. I'm just here to sit down.
Okay. Good talk.
Thank you. I try.
There's 2 other changes to Steam that have happened. That these are old changes. These are obviously very old changes. The one was the popular new releases rather than just new releases,
Hmm.
which basically took the indie games a little bit out of the picture.
Yeah, unless they were crazy superstars.
Yeah, I kind of want to know because me personally, I'm not happy about it. I think that
Mm.
that's a bullshit thing that they did just mainly because Strategy First and those guys were flooding the market,
Hmm.
and it unintentionally is hurting indie games because this is like the most marketing they would have gotten, and I was
Well,
shitting on them.
I have to be honest. When I'm looking for Steam games, I don't look at those sections at all. Like sometimes something will catch my eye on like that crawler that comes. Like you look and there's a big picture,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I've ever bought a game by just browsing through the what's released section unless I already recognize it.
Well, daily go down to the popular new releases, and I just go all releases, and I check out what's new, and I look at the upcoming games. But that's
Mm.
just me. That's.
I just found out Grandia 2 has been released on Steam.
Yeah, I have that on my
Mm.
wish list.
Oh my god, I love that game. It's so good.
I was like,
Bow to the will of
yes.
Gehenna. What?
I was immediately like, yes on that.
Well, I'll
But
wait till you get it and then you tell me if it's a horrible port or not.
oh god, that's true. It might be a horrible port. But you know what it's labeled as? Great soundtrack.
That's true. It was pretty good sound. Grandia 1 was pretty amazing also. Except the voice acting was horrible, but whatever.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just not very happy that Valve took measures to kind of hide indie games, and
Mm.
it felt like it was a case of the rich getting richer. Because
Mm.
Assassin's Creed would always be on the banner and always be, you
Ugh.
know, up in your face every day, and Call of Duty always in your face every
Yeah.
day. And it's like they have campaigns where they're on television, they're on your YouTube ads, they're everywhere. Meanwhile, like Fruit Bat Factory putting out 99 Spirits, this is the marketing they would get, is by being on the new releases section. Like that's
Well, it's
that's the sad
true,
truth.
but we've now come on to the fact that as much as everyone loves Valve and as much as they're somewhat benevolent, they're still a company and they love money to go into their face. And the thing is, the indie market, it's some of their draw, but like, yeah, the Assassin's Creed and the Call of Duties, that's a large part of their money.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
From a company standpoint, they're obviously doing what's best for business, but it just
mm, it
it just
sucks.
sucks. It just
Yeah.
sucks. It sucks from a consumer standpoint because I want to see the indie companies grow, and I want to see new and innovative games like FTL and Don't Starve flourish.
Yeah,
And
and that is why indie developers, and admittedly, there's a lot of crap flying around, but that's why indie developers are going to people like us instead of like Steam. Even if they're on Steam, they're going to people like us, just like make a video of our game, just tell people about our game. Even if
well,
you don't like it that much, I want people to know that the game exists, for the God's sakes.
they're mostly going to you, but
Well, I keep on hoping I get it. I just got one called Corgi Warlock, where you play as a corgi that is also a warlock, and I might play it with 203, but I don't know if it's
I
good.
I think you should, just based on the name alone.
That's the only reason I downloaded it, because it was called Corgi Warlock.
But we did take a look at Trouble in the Manor for
Yeah,
Sure Up Games because they asked us to. Well, they asked
that
you, and
one,
then we
yes.
all just jumped in there with you. But
Not only did he ask me, he sent me 10 keys,
yeah, and
which is crazy.
he told you pretty much like, hey, it'd be really nice if you could help me out because
Yeah.
this could change our lives. And
He said that, and he was so polite that I wanted him to win, but his game is just dead. It's a dead game. No one plays it. And
yeah,
unfortunately, with an online multiplayer game that it is necessary to be played with at least 4 people, that's death. Like,
yeah,
it's not going to
Is
find
there
legs.
is there any chance that you got his message late because of YouTube's odd
Yes.
messaging system?
But only by like 2 weeks. So I had thought
Hmm.
that he had just released the game when he sent that to me, but the game was already out for like a month or two when he
yeah,
sent me that message. So
Right.
and I don't know. It is unfortunate that is just a bad game. Unfortunately, to say, but like mechanically, it was good.
yeah, the concept is amazing. Like if it was polished and had players, I'd probably be playing it not frequently, but I'd definitely be I'd go back to it every once in a while.
Yeah, it's like Trouble in Terrorist Town, not just in concept and mechanics, but in its playability. It's just
Hmm.
fun to play.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the rounds are extremely fast. They're 5-minute rounds. Like
Yeah.
it's got the element of a mobile game because mobile games you just pop them on for a little bit of time. It's got
Yeah.
that kind of element to it. It's got pixel graphics that are kind of cool, and then
Mhm.
but it's also just a fun thing. Like I don't know, it's got
No,
elements of everything.
I did have fun playing with you guys. Then again, I also had a bit of fun playing like White Noise, and that's a horrible game. But like, this is a better game than that. And it, I think if it just had like more levels and more people, that's all. That's all it needed. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, just no.
Or if it started out as a single player game and like it
Yeah.
and you fought, even if you just had bots or something, just anything.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's just not like it. There's just not anything like enough there to keep one person busy, and
Mhm.
while they wait for three others to join them.
Yeah, which will never happen.
Yeah. So that sucks a
Yeah.
lot. But well, that's really I think about all I have to talk about,
Mm.
and I think this was a pretty successful episode. Buttkiss talked minimally. That always tells you
Hey,
it's
I
a good
got
episode.
like 1 or 2 points in. That's
Yeah,
better
yeah, you
than
did.
usual.
Anything anyone
Yay.
else wants to mention?
Yay.
Mention before we
Um,
before we tie this up.
If companion tells you that there's spaghetti on the ground and some of it's blue, don't walk near
Yeah, don't eat that.
Due
Mhm.
entirely to the fact that White Noise got mentioned. Tunnel snakes rule!
it.
Alrighty.
That's not going to make sense in my video. I wasn't recording it, but companions maybe.
What?
Let me see
I
something real
thought
fast.
you said 203 convinced you to record.
Yeah, and
In
then
case something interesting would happen.
and then I killed myself. Oh, maybe I got that part. Then it's possible.
Let's see. What's going up on your channel, Cross?
Um,
We'll advertise
Rebuild,
for
which is
you.
driving me crazy right now because I have to do this really hard thing because Sarah Northway is a psychopath. Um, there is. I just released "Don't Starve," starring me and Relic fighting against Companion and Buttkiss. And
You're that far
fight-
back,
Not
though?
that any of it's a situation, though. Or
Well, you know,
what situation?
You're that far back
Competition.
though with your Don't Starve stuff?
we just. Oh yeah, I am. It's just that and the four-way, which we didn't even finish because no
Oh.
one died between the two. So
Oh yeah, because you didn't want to record you didn't want the stress of recording the session that we were doing. I forgot.
no, and that was good because I was able to not worry as much
Yeah.
and just fish because that's what the video would have been. It would have been me eating fish. So
Which might have been interesting. I don't know.
It actually would have been, considering that you never have gotten to show off fishing on your channel yet.
that's true.
He
But-
does raise one good point. I mean, you could always just start recording once we get later into the thing.
It would be cool to have some winter. I do have to admit that would be a cool thing to have.
Yeah, and I think that your channel would like it because I mean they've seemed to like the new stuff that we've given them with Don't Starve.
Mhm.
And they were definitely way back when. My God, you could have rode that horse.
Yep, but I got bored. But oh yeah, no, I was getting tons of views on those early videos.
You could
I
have
just-
been Paul Revere, baby.
I was just so bored and frustrated because I couldn't not attack bees. It was impossible. I tried to not attack bees, but I attacked bees, and they always killed me.
The bees are coming! The bees are coming!
I'm coming for them. They were minding their own business. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Well, they start coming after you hit them.
It's true. And they shouldn't have. They should have just laid down their lives and given me their sweet barf. I'm also playing Earthbound. It's pretty much
Or
it.
ran away. There's, like, no way in hell you could have caught him.
No,
Hmm.
it's true.
Any plans for streaming in the future, Cross? Or are you still
I
kinda
do
done
need
with
to
that?
see. I need to see if I can stream when 203 is in college. I'll be way more likely to stream because that's the type of thing where I feel like I should be like alone,
Yeah.
and not entirely occupying a room where people can't even make noise. So
How
I do.
about-
I
Oh, I was gonna introduce Buttkiss, but I mean, like.
oh
let
yeah,
him
no,
speak.
I'm done. I'm good.
Well, no, I want your final thought. What was that going to be?
Oh no, I just I do need to finish Rogue Legacy. I only did 2 episodes of that. They were fun to do. They were well received,
Oh.
but I just haven't. That was like half a year ago. I think the last time I streamed. So. But one day, maybe, probably.
And Buttkiss, will you be streaming anytime soon, or is it your situation still like complete?
I am going to try to start streaming again here soon, but
Vampire.
I make no guarantee. Yes, I really
Nice.
want to finish that. I
And
have
the
no
other
idea where I was or what I was doing, but I want to finish it.
Cool.
Odds are I won't be able to, though.
the other
One thing that I'm interested in about you, Cross, do you have any plans to do Mother 3? I know you've probably been asked this before, but
If I can record Game Boy Advanced games well enough, then yes. I remember trying at one point, and there were some sound issues. And if you've played that game, that's a huge problem because it's a music-based timing game.
I seem to remember that there's support on it. I think I saw Chuggy Conroy did a series on it a while ago.
Hey, we are not advertising Chugga Conroy.
Does he
Chuck
really
Coinroy
need
is a very
advertisements?
small Let's Player. 300 or 400 subs.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey
But-
everybody, it's
No, stop. Just no.
But he probably also has a better computer than me. It could easily just be my sound card is dumb or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or in just settings that you gotta like tweak. Cause all those.
I hope that's
emulators-
it. I hope it's settings. That means I have a chance. If it's not, I just can't do it.
All those emulators act differently on every card. It's so hard to get them to work.
hmm
But otherwise, Buttkiss, are you going to ever, get into YouTube?
Probably not anytime soon. It seems like something that takes up a lot of time,
hmm
and between college, jobs, and doing nothing on the computer other than playing video games, I'm pretty well spoken for.
Yeah.
Well, you could just start like with just a straight up port essentially of your Twitch streams.
That's true. That's what I'm planning to do if at any point I can finish a series.
Because
No. Not likely.
I mean, honestly, it is a lot of time, but it's only as much time as you want to put into it. Really, you don't necessarily have to make it, as big of a thing as Cross and I and Cube make it.
That's true. Douglas is pretty much. Well, he's not doing too much anymore.
Yeah, he's pretty much stream only at this point.
Yeah. Like, you don't have to do a daily video, and you don't have to edit the shit out of everything. It will help, but it's not necessary.
I unfortunately neurotically do have to edit the shit out of everything.
I would like to make edits like there's a few parts in Vampire the Masquerade that I had to finagle on Twitch to cut out because you remember the Malkavian Mansion dungeon?
Oh,
I failed that like so many times.
were there monsters in that? There were. There were crazy people.
Yeah, but more the instant death trap because I'm an idiot who doesn't save his game.
Oh, I don't even remember. The game
But
should be
easy to
making
avoid.
periodic auto saves. Actually, there's quick saves, there's auto saves, and then there's hard saves. So there should have been some auto saves. You might just not have known about them.
Between areas, yes, but
Mhm.
not inside the mansion.
I love that mansion. It was all like audio logs of a crazy vampire
me too.
yelling at you.
Except I
Right.
couldn't go through the audio logs again because I was streaming, and that would have
Oh.
been bad.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I think this is a successful second episode.
Mm.
We'll see about doing more of this stuff in the future. What I like about it is that it's just however long we want to go, we go, and that's it. It's pretty nice.
So, companion, what's going up on your channel? Oh, you're not
Well,
here?
cats meow meow.
Maybe he'll be a guest at some point if we have a good old topic. But I just wanted to get Cross's insight mainly on early access and discuss that. So
That's my opinion.
There we go.
to end this all off, I guess I'll just advertise the Humble PC and Android Bundle 13, which will have 4 days left by the time this comes out. There is Crimson Land, Never-Ending Nightmares, Beat Buddy, Tale of the Guardians, Photonica. Those are pay whatever you want for. And then if you pay an additional, well, above the average of $3.01, you get those 4 games, as well as Tiny Keep, Crown Takers, Monster Loves You, Secret of the Magic Crystals Complete Edition,
Oh God, why?
Yes.
Strata, and Doodle God. So that's the bundle. Again, it's supporting charities. It's supporting Electronic Frontier Foundation and the American Red Cross, which I don't know much about the Electronic Frontier Foundation, but I know the American Red Cross is, pretty cool. Just gotta throw that out there. So you can get a bunch of games tax deductible because it's technically a charity. So
Really?
yes, really.
Should have deducted those.
Any money that you put towards charity is tax deductible.
Yeah, technically, I think anytime I buy a video game, it should be tax deductible because that's part of my business expenses. Wonder if that would fly.
You should try it. Well,
Actually, that is something that you could very well try.
yeah,
It's true. I think that's my only business expense. Is buying games.
you could try it. Literally, you should try it.
No.
I mean, if you get called on it, it might end up being controversial, but
It's true.
Dang.
I don't think I make enough money to be audited though. I think I'll be okay.
Besides which, Let's Players have actually gotten a lot of traction thanks to, PewDiePie and YouTube even changing itself to kind of be more of a gamer orientated.
Yeah, my taxes were very weird this year. It was all video game money and independent contractor money from my other job, so I had a special form that I've never seen before. It was hard. Took several hours.
TurboTax, man. TurboTax.
Well, TurboTax only does your taxes for free if you have a normal tax form, which I did not. So I went through the preliminary stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, well, now pay us money." And I was like, "Bye."
Hey,
So-
well, paying
was it
money.
confusing for your Listexia?
Oh God! I screwed up one of my tax things once during the Bush years, and I didn't get $600 that I could have gotten because I checked the wrong thing because I read it wrong. That was pretty lame. I'm still sad about that.
Oh well, give that a shot, Cross. Business deductibles.
Yep.
That'll do it for us. Thanks for watching, because I don't stream this shit. That's part of the nice part of this.
Mm.
It's easy. Buttkiss, say bye.
That's all, folks.
Goodbye.
I hate him so much.